The following podcast contains explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. This is Liz Barron coming to you from WKNC 88.1 FM HD1 Raleigh, North Carolina State's student-run radio station, and you're listening to MargRock, a podcast aimed at celebrating and bringing into focus music created by and for people of marginalized genders and sexualities. On this episode, I was able to talk to Goddamn Wolves, a local indie rock band from Raleigh. They were kind enough to be one of the first bands that I've interviewed, so I'm grateful for their cooperation. Stay tuned to hear more about the origins of Goddamn Wolves, their thoughts on feminism, and what the local music scene means to them. As you know, this is my first time doing this, so thank you for being my first guests. I'm excited to learn about your music, your creative process, and how feminism comes along with all your music. So how did y'all meet?
I don't know the best way to...
Yeah, well, I had lived in Los Angeles for a long time, and then about 4 years ago I moved to Raleigh, and my wife actually had a friend who plays guitar, and he had mentioned, I'm going to want to jam sometime, and I was kind of like, I'm not really a huge fan of jamming. But then when it came up, I was like, well, all right, I should get out there, So I did, and Chris was part of that. And I really enjoyed his songs and stuff. So went along the second time, and then that became a band. And then at a certain point, that band broke up. And at that point, Chris and I asked Drew if he wanted to form a new band, and he did. So
that's right. And I met
and they
Chris.
had known each other a long time, yeah.
Yeah, I met Chris there. There used to be a studio space right across the street, right above Curious Goods, right before that got torn down. And we used to have lots of music, and it was an art studio as well. But we would have lots of different music events there just for some of the local musicians in the area. And I know Chris would attend every now and then. And so we had played together a few times over the years, and then that was it. So.
I think I had seen you before too. Drew's in another band called Love Udder, yeah. And I knew another member of that band, and so I think I don't know if I saw you before I played. With
cool.
You, but
So that's how we kind of all got together.
Right. And then actually the band that Laura and I were in, this band called Rapture Clouds, we played 2 shows, I think,
that's
with
right.
Love Udder, and after those shows, Laura was like, that Drew is really good.
He really knows his way around a drum kit.
I think loud. That's what I got. I do loud.
That's always good.
But I remember talking to you that night. I had just moved here, and he was kind of filling me in on the local scene and everything, and he was a cool guy, so...
That's awesome. I realize I completely breezed by your names in your pronouns. So if you want to go around and say your name and pronouns and your role in the band.
I'm Laura McCullough, she, her, and I play bass and sing backing vocals.
I'm Chris Wielding, he, him, and I play guitar and sing.
And I'm Drew Folia, and I'm the drummer, and he, him.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. So how long have y'all been in a band together?
I think 2 years.
Yeah, I think we're getting close to 2 years.
2 years in November, I think, right?
Oh, is that right?
2 years in November,
okay.
yeah.
Nice.
That sounds about right.
Has music always been a passion for each one of you, or is it just something that you've picked up?
Oh, I don't. Let me speak for everybody in the room. Yes.
Fairly safe assumption, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, definitely. Yeah. And I've been playing since I was in high school, and it's always, there have been periods where I'd take like maybe 2 to 5 years off. Like you get frustrated with being in bands and kind of give up on it for a while, but I always find I'm a lot happier when I am playing. Yeah. And I'm always listening to music a lot, whether I'm playing or not. But yeah, so for me, definitely yes.
Yeah, I started. I always wanted to play an instrument, but I didn't get a guitar until I was, I think, 15, and then I just went full tilt. But yeah, even as a kid, I was like, I want to play the drums, I want to play cello, and it never happened. And then once I had a guitar, that was my thing.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 4 in my family, and my older brother Paul is 4 years older than I am, and he definitely turned me on to music. And I would say when I was probably 12 or 13, I got a drum kit, and just didn't play with any, just played, just a handful of albums and stuff. And was really obviously not even a hobby, I don't think I would say. And then when I got into high school, got together with some other people for a little while. We never played out anywhere, just played and had fun a handful of times, maybe 10 times. Then that was it. Then didn't play an instrument again until about 12 years ago when I moved into the neighborhood right down the road. And the band I'm in now, Love Utter, my neighbor, the day I moved in, he was like, "Hey, do you play an instrument?" And I was like, "Well, I played drums 20 some odd years ago," and then that was it. And we got together, and immediately we had like 4 songs, like within the first night. We were just clicked, and it worked really well. And so we started playing together, and that band is still playing. We have a hard time getting schedules together, but we've been doing a little better now. So yeah.
Must have been a really good jam session.
It's a totally different thing, I think, from what we're doing with
the jury's out on that one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's a different thing, and so I feel like it's meeting 2 different needs, I guess, for the things I like to do musically.
Yeah. For the record, I'm just kidding. I love it.
Yeah. Just put it out.
Just
got it on record. All right,
in, Colin. I love you guys.
That's it.
All right. So was it intuitive to make the kind of music that you're making, or was it more like kind of trying to meld together different genres?
No, I think we have a pretty common.
Yeah, I don't think it's different genres, but I think when we do play together, it's the result of the 3 of us in the room. It's not. I don't know that we have an idea. Like this song is going to sound like this. It's like we just start playing, and it becomes how it sounds. But
Yeah.
we have fairly common. We're roughly the same age. We have fairly similar musical backgrounds and tastes. Similar, not identical.
Yeah, and I think certainly our influences are, as Chris said, I think our influences are different to some degree, but not like wildly different. I mean, I think we're all within the same genre, same time periods, and so forth. And I think we all have a love for all the new stuff that's happening too. I think that's a big deal. I don't think that we're stagnating in terms of listening to what's coming out there. Just the opposite. I think we're all constantly pulling from and listening to what's happening and quote unquote keeping up with it, but not that as being the goal as much as it's just an interest, right?
Yeah, and I think it's been one good thing in the band is like we're constantly just sending stuff to each other, like check this out, and so I'm been exposed to a lot more new music than I was before I was in with this group.
Absolutely, like across genres. That's the other thing too. Like I'm hearing things I never would have listened to before, and love like so many of these things that I never, and I'm so grateful for that too. Yeah.
All right. What would you say like a new influencing band would be for y'all?
Well, all of us are really super excited about Mannequin P. We can go ahead with that. Mannequin Pussy. And we're all going to be attending the Kings show coming up.
Absolutely, and
together.
That's like talk about like a new we learned about that band from
DJ Beowulf.
From DJ Beowulf. Yeah, like what a month ago.
It's so funny. Like I had heard of them, and I admit the name. I was kind of like, is this going to be like some hardcore punk? Like, not that I can't go for that sometimes, but I was not expecting what it turned out to be.
Yeah,
but I think all of us were hit really hard by that.
Yeah,
really good.
That album is crazy good.
Crazy good.
And they do so many things on that album. They go like they're spanning genres on that album, and it's just it all fits. It's really well done.
Yeah, it seems to be a new thing recently, like going from genre to genre within one album.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're doing it. Yeah.
Giant Dog.
Yeah, Chris got me into a Giant Dog. Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite bands for sure.
Yep. I was going to say we were again through Laura after hearing us together Pangea.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh yeah, she mentioned that we
yeah.
reminded her of them, and so and I went to that show recently. Cool. They're great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think who else?
There are a lot of great bands.
Yeah.
Like, who found La 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 La?
That was me.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so is there a goal with your music? Is it just for fun, or is it something that you want to achieve with it?
Well, I would say primarily it's for fun, but on a personal level, I'm getting a lot out of it. Beyond fun, like it feels good to be productive and creative. You know, there's another aspect to it than just making music. I mean, it's layered for me.
Yeah,
doing this is like
super cool.
Cool,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think when I moved out here, I thought, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to get into a band, but maybe we'd play Slims every other month. That'd be awesome. And then, it was so good. Then I started thinking, well, geez, maybe we could really do some things. And I think all three of us really enjoy recording. And I don't know if these guys, for me, that's my favorite part. Like, I like that more than playing out live. And to be able to go, we've been using this really great studio in Durham called Deep Sound Studio. And it's really rewarding Chris brings in an idea for a song. We all work together for it to be a fully formed song, and then to go and record that and get that end result. Like, to me, that's kind of the ultimate of being in a band.
Sounds really gratifying.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm just going to echo what the two of you just said too. I think for me, it certainly I'm an amateur musician, of the two of these members too, for sure, more amateur than the two of them. And so I guess it would have started out as something I would have said was just a hobby or just for fun, but I absolutely appreciate what it does for me as a creative outlet, and how it gets me out of my comfort zone, and that moves me differently through the world, and it helps me to be, just see the world differently and move differently, and that's a good thing. And I think it's so I'm super grateful for this. Yeah.
What do you want your listeners to feel when they listen to your music? Is that like part of the goal, or is it just like a nice side effect?
I don't think that's okay. Listeners. I want people to like it for sure, and there are things that I'm proud of. But in terms of wanting a certain result, I don't have any of that.
It's kind of like at our last practice, we're taking October off. This is probably the only outside thing besides practice that we're doing this month, and we're just going to work on new songs and stuff. And Chris was kind of bringing up, what do you guys think about the direction of the band? And it's kind of like, well, when you hear a great song, like, you know it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the goal, right? And if we think the songs are great, hopefully other people will too. It's kind of out of our control, but as long as we all like what we're doing.
If they don't, then they're wrong.
Right, and like it or love it.
And we're okay with that.
Two choices, like it or love it.
It's okay if they're wrong, and we're good with that.
Yeah. But that, as long as we really like what we're doing, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, shifting gears, like, this podcast is about feminism, as well as marginalized genders and sexualities, and they're being underrepresented in the music scene. So how do you feel about that before we jump in? Like, what are your thoughts on marginalized genders and sexualities in the music scene?
Well,
I'll take this, Laura.
Okay, yes, please do.
I was going to speak for Laura, actually, but go ahead.
No, but I think we both.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we're not super young. Like, this is probably my second time around doing bands and everything. And I can tell you that when I started, it was much different than it is now. I feel like we're in a pretty good spot now. I mean, I see a lot of good representation of women for sure. In fact, we did a show a few weeks back, and this guy there mentioned to me something about it's really hard to find a chick bass player that's good, and I'm thinking, really? Like, maybe when I started doing this, but I think we have lots of women musicians on every instrument now. And it's not a gimmick in any way. It's just a part of indie rock bands now. And hopefully we'll catch up racially, too. I still see a lot of white people in this music scene. But, it's changing a bit, but it'd be great if eventually that changed. And as far as genders go, I think there's a long way to go with trans and non-binary there's people like Mal Blum. I think that's maybe the highest profile thing I can think of off the top of my head. Hopefully we'll see that grow more, but I think, it's totally getting there.
I would guess that that's going to accelerate very quickly. Just seeing, it just seems that there's been such a massive shift in culture that a lot of younger people even just have that
worldview,
an exam, like they don't feel isolated if so people are more and more comfortable being who they are, and as they get older and make music and grow up in that environment,
it'll just accelerate.
Music will reflect that, but the people who are making music now, like let's say the average person is like maybe 18 to 25, let's say. So that generation has grown up in a very different environment than we grew up in.
And I don't know if it depends on, where you live. Like for me, like coming out as a lesbian was kind of a big deal. I mean, I would not have done that in high school. There's no way I would have felt comfortable doing that. College is a different story. But I hear about a lot of kids now coming out in high school and school groups, and that's great. But I do wonder, like, Raleigh is progressive, Los Angeles is progressive. I don't know if that's true for kids across the country, in more suburban or rural areas. But, I mean, I hope it is.
But they also have access to, easier access to a broader spectrum of experience than like you used to have.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I remember I was telling him recently, like when I was, coming out and figuring out who I was, man, if there was a lesbian kiss on a show, I taped that shit. I recorded that shit, right? It didn't matter if I hated the show. That was major, right? Like, we didn't have, all this internet access and everything. Like, something like that happened, but now I think, it's very, very different for kids.
Do you guys feel like you can be unapologetic in this kind of music scene?
How so?
In terms of being yourself, being free with what you're saying, and whatever the topic of your music is.
Well, the thing I struggle with now is just that we're old. Like, since we're older, it's weird. And just growing up, like rock and roll was all about being like horny and like at the party and stuff, and no one wants to see an old person like singing about that and stuff. So I definitely don't sing about that, but I mean, I wouldn't be I wouldn't feel uneasy about anything that used to be taboo, But even growing up, though, it seemed like there were people saying stuff that was out of the mainstream. So I don't know how oppressive it was when we were younger.
Yeah, that might be a factor of our being cisgendered old white men, right? That's what I would say is my not fear, but like, I am constantly making sure that I am checking that lens, right? That I'm going, look, these changes and the things that are happening are great, and I can't even begin to imagine the struggles of folks because it's just never been my reality, and it likely won't be for the rest of my life, right? I mean, while things are changing and it's great, let's be honest, it takes a while for there to be true equality, or for it to be like I've had it. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen in my lifetime. As much as I want it to be, this is not going to happen. And so I think, I mean, obviously, I don't write the songs or anything, but I mean, I feel like just in general, that's my attitude towards it, and trying to, in all, I guess in as many interactions as I can, be a voice for. There are a handful of old white dudes out there that get that this is a good thing and fight for it.
Don't let this guy fool you. He's totally unapologetic.
That's true. Yeah, I'm not afraid to get angry about some stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's good
Well, it's
stuff.
important to recognize and like be able to check your own
Sure.
privilege once in a while.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely, all the time.
Yeah, that's been very positive, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Just having your eyes opened, and more voices that are heard, the better off old white guys like Drew and I are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I cannot imagine being in a band with people who are not politically progressive or socially progressive. I mean, I don't think that would be possible, especially it's such a big part of our lives now, every day, and topic of discussion. And you know, I mean, these guys are my friends. Obviously, we just you have to have that commonality, or at least I think for all of us, you'd have to.
100%. Yep.
All right. Sounds good. Do y'all think that feminism has a place in music in general, and then do you think it has a place in your music alone?
In music, absolutely. Again, like dating myself, but I mean, you know, Kathleen Hanna, Bikini Kill, Courtney Love, Hole, you know, Babes in Toyland. I mean, all these bands were super formative for me growing up, and I don't think we would be where we are now in music without them. And then, you know, amazing bands like Pussy Riot that are, you know, fighting for equality for everybody. And yeah, absolutely has a huge place in music. For our band, I don't know. I mean, Chris can probably address this more, but I don't know that feminism is necessarily a theme in our songs. You want to take that one?
Yeah, I don't really tackle it as much as I'm sure people would love to hear
your take. Let's get your hot take on that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the lyrics, and in general, they're more either personal, or if there are relationships, they're not specific.
Gender rolled. It applies to all sides.
Yeah, keep it kind of vague all the way through, which I think is just a comfort thing for me. The things I think about are not. When I was younger, I was more focused on relationships and stuff like that. I'm less so now, so that's mostly why that is. But I definitely would be very uncomfortable if anybody heard our stuff and thought it was not progressive or supportive of all the good things.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess we're not like a super political band or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
If I could do it, I probably would.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing,
just,
right?
You can sound so stupid.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Telling people how to act, or think.
Yeah, like I see a band like local band Pie Face Girls, and to me that's like a direct descendant of Bikini Kill, all of that stuff in the best possible way. But that's hard to do.
Right.
I mean, it's
hard to pinpoint.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a very fair assessment of we're playing to our strengths, right? I think or
just what you feel comfortable doing.
That's
Because I think people pick up. I mean, that's one of the most important things I think with bands is that there's some authenticity. Like even if it's like an over the top, like like Guar or something, but that they're like, this is cool. This is a show.
What they're doing, right?
Like, and they're very authentic about, look at this. But yeah, if you pretended to be
right
something you're not, it would be very off-putting.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I can't imagine us trying to do like some of the songs that Pie Face Girls do, right?
No.
That's just not our thing.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Or singing about being young.
Exactly. Exactly.
With, like maybe you could sing about looking back on when you were young, but stuff like that.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
The authenticity is what is key. Is what it sounds like. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, kind of switching gears again. What are your thoughts on the current music scene in Raleigh?
I love it.
Yeah.
Drew is the one who can go off on this.
Yeah.
He's very he's a very enthusiastic supporter of
Super
local music.
I think Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, I'm always in awe of the bands and the talent in general that is in this area is forever just, it's daunting to me just to any given night there are bands and I don't know a lot of them, and you can go to a club and you won't know who they are. It doesn't even matter what genre, and you're going to see 99 times out of 100 you're going to see some folks that really know what they're doing as musicians and songwriters, and
the crowd, like there are people who go out and support it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's huge.
Oh yeah, and we have great
Not
venues.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, none. And the venues, I think that's another thing I always try to mention is I think one of the reasons we have such a great music scene here is the different classes of venues. We have places that you can't have more than 10, 15 people in the room, and that's important, right? Because you're not going to get a lot of local bands to fill 100, 200 person venues, and playing out live and doing a live thing is a good thing, right? It's an expression. It gets people involved. It gets people to work at their craft, and it gets people to be exposed to it. And so having this just spectrum of venues of different feels, we've got like Wicked Witch and Slims, and maybe even some more. Maybe sterile is not the word, but maybe more accessible places, right? Than those. And I, to be clear, love Slims and Wicked Witch. I think those were fantastic venues. But it allows for different genres, different people, different. All groups can find a place in Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill to go see some music and be with people, and that's huge. I think that for being an area of what are we total 1.2 million or something, that's a big deal to have that level of support. We're not like a huge city. So it's not like we're not like a Seattle or LA or whatever.
I mean, I was in New York for 20 years.
Yeah.
And whenever we play, it was a scene didn't really it didn't feel like there was a scene like there's a scene here. Like bands would come in and they, everybody was just trying to get a record deal or whatever. I imagine LA was exactly the same.
Same.
And so there was very little inner band support that I saw. And then down here, bands really seem to look out for each other and support each other, and it's really cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. I see a lot of my favorite local bands out seeing other bands. I mean, I see the members of these bands. Oh, it's fantastic, and it's very, very cool. Lots of inner dynamics that goes on there. That's all supportive, like you're saying, Chris. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Very, very fortunate to be living in this area, I feel like.
Yeah. What would you say your favorite local venue is?
WKNC. How about no? I
to
do love
play,
WKNC.
I think to play Slims is my favorite.
Yeah.
It's small. It's just a great dirty rock bar.
Yeah.
To see a show, nobody good ever plays there but the Lincoln Theater. It's close to my house. And I don't know, I just feel like I can see from wherever I am, in the venue. I can have a great view, and the sound is great.
Kings is great to see.
I have not been to Kings yet.
Oh,
And
Kings.
I like playing at the Poorhouse.
Poorhouse is probably going to be my answer.
Sound is great.
Sound is great. Jack,
it's a nice space. Yeah.
Adam running. Always shout out to them. Those guys are fantastic. And I don't know the names of the other people, but they're also really appreciate all that they do there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of great shows there, and they do a great job with the sound, and I feel like that venue's really good.
Yep.
And I love the Pinhook in Durham. I want to play there badly.
Yeah.
We haven't played there yet.
Oh my God, I love the Pinhook too.
Yeah, that's a great space. Yeah. Good
I mean,
call.
that's it seems like most of the shows fall on weeknights, and it gets a little late heading out there. But yeah, that's just a great venue.
Screaming Females, November 6th.
I know.
That's where it is.
I know.
All right.
All right. Well, before we wrap it all up, I have some silly questions. So, what's your astrological sign, and do you care?
I care very much. I'm a
Okay.
Taurus, and I have what's my rising sign? Is
Moon, rising, and
Cancer.
sun.
Rising sign Cancer.
Okay.
So I don't know the sun sign, but I love it. I love astrology. Yeah.
Astrology. Astronomy is the other one.
Yeah, the real one.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
easy.
How about y'all?
I'm Pisces, but I don't think I fit it at all.
Yeah.
And I don't put a lot of faith in it.
Typical Pisces.
Yeah, well,
That's perfect. I'm a Leo. I don't know what the other things are that you said. I'm familiar with the concepts, but I
my
don't know.
moon is Gemini.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I know.
All right. Yeah. No, I believe you do, and I'm not questioning you. No. That's a Leo. That's all I got. And from what I think I know, I think I kind of fit it. I'm not
So
sure.
if you're listening and you play drums or bass, reach out.
Oh, ouch.
oh, that hurts.
Okay. Do y'all have any pets that you want to talk about real quick?
I have a sick dog right now. Yeah, he's a poodle. We're going to the vet tomorrow. We'll see what's going on. So, but he's like our mascot.
He's a big fan.
Mm.
He literally sits through every practice in the room, like right at Chris's
don't even
feet.
do that. No, I'm
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
dedication.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like in
Yeah.
front of the pedal board. He just
Yeah. That's really nice.
Bosco.
let's go.
Little Bosco.
Bosco the poodle.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have a mixed breed rescue dog she's my buddy. We walk Cup of Joe every morning. And so if you want to come see my dog, you can be out Cup of Joe in the morning and you will see us out there. We hang out there. Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
I have 3 cats. That I did not plan to have 3 cats. I only planned to have 2, but we found one out in the road, and pretty soon, they just end up sticking around. So 3 cats.
That's wonderful. I'm glad we're all animal people here.
That's right.
What do you have?
Because I am in college, I'm not allowed to have a dog with me, but my sibling has a dog who is the light of my life. She's a pit bull, and her name's Jackie, and I think about her 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So final kind of question. If you were dessert, what would you be? It's a thinker.
That's a very
So not necessarily what I like, but what would I be?
What embodies you the best,
Oh,
you think?
okay.
Yeah.
I was going for what I like. Yeah.
Yeah.
It can overlap.
I'd probably have to go with those Purolines, those little round sticks, because
Yeah.
that's pretty much how I'm built. Is like
Good
a little
answer.
round stick. Little chocolate, not very sweet. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think you're sweet.
A little sweet? Oh, okay.
I
I'm a
think
little
so.
Yeah. That's it. That's what I got. The stick.
I don't know. I guess I'll be like some kind of dark, bitter chocolate.
Come on, that's not you at all. See?
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
I go with like a baklava or something. Yeah. Little
Lots of layers.
Little
yeah.
flaky.
Little flaky.
Little flaky.
So
Greasy and
Who
flaky.
was late
Gotcha.
to this?
a little nuts.
Delicious, a little nuts. I like it. I like it.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
So you said you were taking the month of October off, but beyond that, do you have any shows coming up that you'd like to plug?
November.
Yeah, what is the date on that? It's
16th?
November 16th, a Saturday night at Slim's. We're opening for a band that's touring here from South Florida. They are called...
Nope.
I know. I don't have it either.
Hold on.
But it's a Saturday night at Slim's. It will be a fairly early night because we're opening, or you can stick around and catch the
It'd be a
band from
late night
Florida.
for me, for sure. I like this band. They sound good.
Yep.
No, I did check them out too, and they do sound good. I was so focused on that Dude York show, I never fully caught the name.
You just listened to an interview of the local indie rock band Goddamn Wolves. If you are interested in listening to more content like this, go to wknc.org/podcasts. I'm Liz Barron, and thanks for listening. More than I ever could have asked for.